his thing. He needs to be here.
Okay, I think we are live, guys.
Yep, we
Hello,
are.
everybody. We're just in the middle of a discussion.
Good afternoon, Nkosi Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So with me today, I'm with Carol Ann Cooper and Shireen Lovegrove. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Good,
Right.
good. Not bad. You too? Are you good?
Yes, I am good, thank you. So the topic today is rerouted when the journey changes, but the destination still calls. So we are doing part 2 of this topic. So we will dive into this, what really means to adapt, to pivot with purpose and stay anchored when life or love takes unexpected turns, whether in your personal path or your romantic one. This conversation is all about resilience, clarity, continuing forward even when the road looks different than planned. So, Carol Ann, you chose the topic, right?
Yeah.
Here he is.
Yes, come on,
Aha.
Smithers.
Hiya.
Yay.
Sorry, a bit of a
Just in
delay.
time.
Kids and games and stuff like that. So, as
Oh,
normal.
perfect. Rerouted when the journey changes, but the destination still calls.
Exactly.
It's a title. You arrive.
Hi, Kamal.
Hi, Nomsa. Hi, Shireen. Hi,
Hi,
Carol.
hi, hi.
And this all actually came about from I was I decided to go into London to go to the South Bank and walk along the South Bank. And so I decided on my route. But when I got to Bond Street, where I needed to change on the underground to another line, I went to where the steps to go down to the Jubilee line were, and it was blocked off. And it was like, oh, what's happening? And then realized that actually I heard something about the Jubilee line not running between two stations, which were obviously to the station that I wanted to go to. So I then quickly looked at the map, thought, right, get back on the next train, go to the next stop and get a different line down to where I wanted to go. And I think it was a couple of stops on. And then so I got there, I walked around and I had a great afternoon. And then when I was coming back, I took a different route because I got onto a different station, different line. And when I got off at the line where I needed to change, I went to go where I normally go to go into the underpass to go to the central line, which I need to go to, and it was all taped off. And I was like, oh, where do I go? And then so we need to go up the stairs, and there was stairs at the other end of the platform. So up the stairs, I had to take a different route and I still got to the line that I wanted, the central line, and got home. And I just thought, wow, both times there, I was blocked from going where I wanted to go, and I had to go and take a different route, but I still got to where I wanted to go. There was still that call to get to my destinations. So this is where I suddenly thought, well, how does that happens in life, that happens in relationships, it happens in your jobs or your career or your business. How do you deal with it? What does it look like? So that's where it came from, that exciting adventure of a day where it just happened and it was like, oh, but I still got where I wanted to go. So yeah. So it'll be interesting because when I actually set that was quite a few weeks ago, and I know I wasn't able to make the call, and you've talked about this sort of topic once, and this is why this is now part 2. So it'll be interesting to see where we go with it now. So, what are other people's thoughts around this when they saw the topic?
What I was thinking as I was listening to that is, how many times in life do we have to be rerouted, right? How many times do we have a plan and the plan doesn't work out in the way that we wanted? And it kind of fitted in a little bit with some of the stuff that I'm busy doing, which is Abundance Codes by Lena Kidney, which is really about the idea that is something working through us, with us, through us, with us, for us, to us, and really looking at where are we on that spectrum. And it's started making me think you could have stopped and been really upset and gone, bloody hell, right? And said, oh, I'm going to go back home, right? And you didn't. You kind of thought, okay, this is a pain in the ass, but I want to get there, right? I've got my outcome. I've got my thoughts. So there was something about that for me, was something about that. What held you, what kept that alive, was the idea I'm going to have a nice day on the South Bank, right? It's nice weather, it's nice, whatever. I've got a plan and I've been visualizing this plan. So it doesn't matter what's going to happen. That's where I'm going to go. I don't know the route I'm going to take. And that just started me thinking about what would it be like to have just the destination and be curious about the route. Just be curious. That's happening. Oh, wonder if that will happen, or that will happen, or that will happen. And whether that would make a real shift in the way we start thinking about our own potentials in creation, in how we do things. So that was really what was how the agency of our life, right? So the idea that nothing will rock our boat. We've got enough support to hold us in whatever we do, even when obstacles come in our way.
Like
So
that.
nice.
I'm aligning a little bit with you and the same concept that everything that happens to us and every person that we meet them and it happens to us for a reason. Now, we don't specifically know the reason behind it. Obviously, yes, deviations and routes. Um, but the concept is still the same. And my simple question, though, even though it took you a longer path to reach your destination, did you remember to enjoy it?
Mm. Once I realized, yeah, it was like,
Right?
yeah, okay,
And I
yeah,
think this is the thing about it is
yeah.
that no matter what detour we take or the rerouting that we're
Mm,
having, why not use that time to
Mm.
enjoy and learn what's happening within the
mm,
process? And in relationships, it's the same thing. We're not static, right? Change is constant. And so if we do not change with time and change itself, we stagnate, right? It's like stale water, it just stagnates and then fill yourself up with all these well, microbes and bacteria and all of that. That's what happens to water. But imagine that happening to yourself as well. So I'm on that belief that everything that happens, it happens for a reason, whether it was your initial plan to not check whether the routes were closed or not, whether it was just to remind you that sometimes it's better to take a longer route to reach your destination and enjoy it. There's a very similar story to that, where two great martial artists, senseis and masters, and there was some sort of discussion between them and who was the best and all of that. And so one of them said, all right, let's go to the top of the mountain and we will um, row all the way down, and the strongest will reach there first. Second one, yes, let's go. And they went up, and then in a blink of an eye, the first one reached the destination. He was the first one there, and he waited and waited and waited and until sunset. And then the second one arrived, and he was like, "That took you a while. I didn't think that you were that weak." I said, "Well, depends on what you're looking. You were aiming to show that you were the strongest and you reached your destination. However, did you see the salmon going upstream to lay their eggs? Did you see the uh, bear with its cub? Did you see the trees nestled with nests and birds screaming for their parents? I enjoyed the journey. You just reached there."
nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. So in answer to your question, I did enjoy the journey. Once I sort of realized, oh, and it got me thinking, you know, but yes, okay. And it's amazing because also on a couple of times I found myself talking to someone and I remember thinking, well, I wouldn't have spoken to this person if I hadn't come this way, you know.
Exactly.
And it also helped for the next day because I was having to go on that same line again, the Jubilee line that was closed. I wanted to go that way the next day and I was sort of tight for time. But because I knew that that wasn't open to me, I was able to reroute myself and reschedule,
Exactly.
redirect it. So the next day I was able to make it work rather than get to where, oh my God, and all of a sudden I'd be late.
Oh,
Yeah.
all the stress happened in the day that you didn't have to do anything, and then the next
Exactly.
day where
Just
you had to do it, it was like, okay, I know the way now.
yeah, it was beautiful. So as you say, it happens for you, not to
Yeah.
you. It's that, yeah, and it is being open to that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Namsa, what were your thoughts when you've seen this and you talked about it last time?
Um, just listening to Carol Anna's grief, and I thought you grieved, and then when you were talking, you felt like you were grieving, and then until Kamal asked, and then you said you enjoyed your journey. So yeah, that's it shows that there's no destination, there's no such thing as a straightforward destination. Whatever you do in life, whether relationship, nothing is straightforward. So I like what Shireen said as well. You said, what would it be like to like have a destination, but just be curious in that destination? I think that would be fun, just to have the destination and be curious of what will happen to it. I think that is really, really, that is really, really good. Um, as I said, I like it, when Kamal asked Carol Ann, like, did you enjoy the destination? So I think that is really good. Like when things go wrong in life, we just have to not to be filled with disappointment, just to ask yourself, what is life teaching me right now? And take a breathe, but uh, stay
He's outside.
focus and looking at the road ahead and rewrite that map if you can, mourn the version of life that didn't pan out, but no, this grief isn't your final destination, and just keep writing and keep unpacking. For me, I've just learned so many ways that even if things don't go my way, I've learned to appreciate what is in front of me that moment. Like Kamal said, that he asked a question, did you enjoy? If I'm delayed, me, I use it to do other things. The trains, you're always going to be delayed. So if I'm on the train and the train delays me, I just open my iPad and do my work. If not, I read and sit back because I don't get time to sit down. The children could be calling me, wanting my attention. So if the train delays me, okay, nobody gonna want my attention. I have me
Nice.
time.
Yeah, yeah. So it's looking at, well, what can be sort of thrown off, and so partnerships can change through sort of either sort of distance happening. Certainly, if you find yourselves at a distance, or there's shifting roles that can happen. You say you plan it out. You think this relationship's going to go in a certain direction, but life has other ideas.
Yep.
And it's how do you then reroute together rather than letting it pull you apart. And it's things like practicing or having check-in times with each other, and just sort of what's happening here in this relationship, just checking in, see whether you still are on the same route or the same path, and if not, well, how can you keep on that path, or is it that path? What is the calling here? Is the calling to stay together that's still the end destination. All those years in the future, you're still together. Well, how do you navigate that path and the rerouting? And so it's just, sit down together. It is having that conversation, and without any judgments. It's not making anything wrong. It's just saying, well, what is so? And I remember when I wanted to do my degree, and my ex-husband was like, oh, that means we're stuck here, because I did get a job and he had his job, but in his mind, he didn't want to sort of be tied to that one place. He'd just sort of been moving around a lot when he was younger, or before we got married. And so he was sort of quite a bit of a wandering soul. And I said to him, well, I can change where I do this degree. I want to get and do this degree, so I'm doing it, but I don't need to do it here. And so it sort of took away that fear that, oh, well, it means he's tied as well. So again, we were able to navigate that, and I still managed to keep on with it. So it all comes down again, as we say, keep saying, conversation, opening up, and how can you make it work for each other, and a sort of whatever is changing, don't look at it as a breakdown. It's sort of rephrasing it, the way you look at it. And as Kamal was saying, it's not done to you. It's like, well, why is this happening? What's happening? And why is it happening for you? I think it's that key word, rather than to you, it's for you. And so not viewing anything as a breakdown, but maybe a doorway to something, a deeper connection or a reinvention, and it is about keeping it alive. I think Kamal used to say something about it going stagnant otherwise. So it's keeping things alive. So maybe life is saying, well, hang on, it's getting a little bit stagnant here. We want a little bit of flow, a little bit of freshness, a little bit more oxygen to liven things up a bit. It's going with that. So certainly, so in relationships, that is one way where you can get rerouted. Say with the partnership itself changes. So something you could add into there, or any other thoughts around relationships that could get rerouted?
Yeah, I suppose I'm thinking about what needs to be there in the foundation, right? Because when we have a very strong foundation, then the rerouting is just a matter of life, right? But it's that foundation. If that foundation gets rocked, that's when it becomes a lot harder to shift or to recover. So it's probably useful right at the very beginning is really in any relationship. And I know that most relationships don't start with a very strong foundation because we don't really talk about our real dreams at the start, do we? We might sort of casually talk, but we don't really engage with that, and we don't get the agreements that we should get at the beginning. And so things go off track because those agreements are now being broken, right? Or our thought agreements, not the agreements that actually were agreed, but the thought agreements that get caught. And now we have to reset that. We have to reset, what part of this did I need to take accountability for? And how do I hold that while I still do my pivot, while I do my change? And is this rerouting just a way to grow and to make something better? Yeah, as you use the word reinvent, exactly. We are reinventing something. We're putting something into it. So I think that in the sense of I wrote a couple of words which jumped right from the very first, which is really we are the creator, we are the creation. We use God as the tool through which we create, or an energy, a divine source of some sort, whether we call it energy, whether we call it the divine. But what we do is we have something that works through us. It works for us. It works with us. And there's something about how when we have that kind of journey, how do we work with this, right? Because we are, in essence, that creator. So when we have a challenge, how do we work with it? How do we work with the challenge? It's not just about being curious. It's about having this really deep fundamental foundation that everything is that we have the capacity to do things and we have the capacity to create. So the most important thing is it's our job then to create. So in the foundation, if we create that belief very strongly in ourselves, we would then start with creating very strong foundations with someone else. So that when we do get, I won't say rerouted, but when things change, the landscape changes, we get to be able to surrender into it and go, hey, guess what? This is for the ride, right? So the words that really came then was surrender. We have to surrender to what's happening to us so that we can be curious, that
Mm.
we can't hold the resistance. When we're holding the resistance, then we're in trouble. So it's like, okay, this is my journey. Here I got rerouted. Okay, maybe there's a moment where we might be a little bit irritated because we didn't check the route or we didn't do this, we didn't do that, which is where we take accountability, right? And then we go, right, so okay, I now know that tick, 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 that box is ticked. Right, now what do I do? Now you may having fun at that moment might be a little bit of a shift, but you can be curious. You can go, oh, that's interesting. And I came back and it's still blocked. That's interesting too, especially in technology, to all of this. So,
Mm.
what's that telling me about what's going on in my life? How is this reflecting what's going on in my life? What is the learning that I'm getting here in this moment? You kind of did a learning afterwards where you did the reflecting and looking back and going, oh, okay, I did that, did that. Oh, that's interesting. Because that's what makes life fun.
Mm.
Actually, when we start to look back and look at things in a different way, and we become curious, then that's where the spoonful of sugar comes in, where we say, ah, right, I've just taken my dollop of sugar now because hey, guess what?
Mm.
Things are so much better. So I think the idea of the foundation is uh, everybody should be focusing on that, and that's obviously something we need to be educating our kids with too, right? So that they grow up to have relationships that are built in different
The
types
door.
on different foundational levels, so that we can grow in that. I'm actually watching a program just at the minute, and it's a Korean one. But actually, this young boy that's in there, the father just gave him so much self-confidence, which was stand by your principles, stand true to yourself, and I will always admire you. And
Mm.
that was the principle that came. And when there was a struggle, that something happened, and the son stood up. The father turned around and said, "I am so proud of my child for one of the beautiful things that I couldn't even do this for myself, even though I gave it to him." And it was so wonderful. So it's about that foundation for me.
I
Yeah.
like that foundation. And the two words that hit at the start of a relationship, yes, you are right. People just get into it without setting the boundaries and the values specifically very clear. Because if your values are different, then there is bound to be a difference in opinion and a difference of lifestyle and everything. The second word was curiosity. Now, curiosity is an important word because without it, life becomes dull. Life becomes, again, stagnant. I believe curiosity is the key to having that possibility of change and the key to exploration.
Mm.
The same as we mentioned before in previous chats, the curiosity of a relationship. Um, you go to dates once or twice or three times per week or month or however it is, but do you keep that same curiosity with the person that you're having as if you had it the first time you ever met that person?
Mm.
Now, if you keep that curiosity, really, you don't have to pretend anything, but keep that curiosity of the first date you've had, and things grow from there, right? Now, we come back to the values. Values are important because considering we have our core values, and most people carry these core values from that are inherited or that are learned, they tend to forget a little bit about their own core values, and so these values can change and be molded into what fits the specific situation, right? And that means that you don't have any strong values. Situation about that young man and the father, where the father, you know what, I don't have a strong value when it comes to self-confidence and standing my ground. You know what, I'm going to teach it to you. And the son, perhaps after a while, and even though it is a learned value, and he accepted it as part of his own, he stood his ground and he presented himself, right? And so these values are extremely important when we're talking about relationships. Now, core values usually stay the same if you figure out what these core values are. You can add onto them peripheral. I call them peripheral values. They're not completely at the center. So the way I see it and the way I talk to my clients is that you have 5 core values. And from these core values, these are unchangeable. These are the same core values, whatever they may be. Let's call them honesty, joy, or playfulness, integrity, whatever, and you add them, right? And these, they don't change. These are part of your everyday life. You make sure that everything that you do in life contain these 5. And then your core values are very, very solid. The peripheral ones are the ones that you add onto them, where you can not necessarily do them every day, but they can be part of your life. Let's say, I don't know, I'll take another one that I took, but we'll put it to the peripheral one. Let's say playfulness. You can be playful while being serious. That, yes, I am an example of that. Serious conversations can have a little bit of playfulness in them,
Mm.
but they don't necessarily have to include playfulness every single day of my life. So if you don't include it every day, it's not a core value. However, it is a peripheral one. These peripheral ones are changeable, they're manageable. So you can add onto your core values to grow your peripheral values in order to adapt situations. Doesn't make you a hypocrite, as long as these peripheral values are still connected to the core values. Now, in relationships, if our core values are the same, let's say 2 people with the same core values, these will be constant. They're the same. They're not too different. They're the same. That means it makes it simpler to have peripheral ones. Each person can have their own peripheral values. And when the core values are completely different, they have nothing to do with each other, then we have 2 different hands, 5 and 5 here, and each one, let's say, can have another 2. And then we grow that distant from each other. And the more you grow from each other, from these values, the more it becomes difficult to reroute our life. And so initially, I would go with core values in any discussion of any relationship, not the very first or second date, but they can be thrown away here and there at the start. Curiosity, coming back to that, and curiosity to me is kind of everything. You can't be blurting things out all the time and not asking questions. Questions like, all right, so I didn't take this line is closed. How am I going to change my direction? Now I have option A, B, and C. Which option do I want? I can stay still. That's also option D, right? Reference to in life, we always have a choice, and not making one is still a choice.
Mm.
Um, so option A, take more time, but it's the scenic route. Option 2, it's a more direct route, but less interaction. Option 3 is an enjoyable and has more interaction and has the possibility to leading me to somewhere that I was interested in checking out a few days, months ago. And then you select what fits you. Now, without that curiosity in us, we cannot explore the world beyond our borders. Without that curiosity, we stay in that comfort zone that prevents us from learning. without that curiosity, we don't get to meet new people and discuss things and have wonderful chats. And so the choice becomes yours again. Do you want to be curious or not? Dramatic pause.
Yeah.
It wasn't dramatic. I was sitting there.
Boom.
I was thinking of prairie dogs at that moment about curiosity and safety and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I think I agree with Kamal that you have to stay curious, but it's impossible
Nothing's impossible.
because people are crazy. I am one of those people that are crazy, Kamal. People, you see, when I say I've learned to appreciate the things that are in front of me, people don't appreciate what they have. The curiosity, if you don't appreciate what you have, the curiosity goes away. So what Kamali is saying, being curious, it means when you met that person on that first date, what made you fall in love with that person? What made you wanting to be with them? So that need to stay with you. But people get wind up with the plans. I want to get married. I want to do this. I want to do this. They want to marry the person, but they don't appreciate them anymore because they have that person. They start annoying each other. They start arguing. But first is the power of curiosity and gratitude. Say, okay, I appreciate this person that is in front of me. And the dreams, like Shireen, you mentioned goals, like we don't talk about goals, we don't talk about things deep. In that party, I would say it's hard to stay in the goals if wherever there is no God, the relationship is doomed, is depression. Is doomed with depression and the insanity, you name it. I have never like the people that I've met that are happy is the people that are curious about each other, like what Kamal said, the people that have gratitude with what they have and things like that. But those who are after the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, it destroys a relationship. And I like you, Carol Ann, when you said you need to check in all the time. It's really, really important. If you want to stay together, if things are changing, like evaluate always what is changing. Break it down. And Shirini, you mentioned the foundation as well. Where there is no good foundation in a relationship, there cannot be happiness. Even in business, whatever with the business acquaintance, business network, if there is no good foundation, it has to have, there's got to be something that is holding into that. And for me, everything that I do, I find my life like everything that I do on my own, it doesn't work, whether I like it or not. I find myself being changed to a different direction. But where I bring God in it and ask for divine direction is where I found clarity. It's like the document that I sent you yesterday, Shireen, and I wrote that, I think that was 5 years ago, that I wish to build something and I put that name, I put something that is on that document. But when this guy now is sending me the document, I was like, oh, that's what is on my, actually, on my vision board, that I would like to build something one day if I can have the money. But for me, what I understand is a relationship has to have God, has to have a divine direction. It's like as a matchmaker, when somebody comes in and they have this vision that they have that is empty, I know in my heart, this is where I bring God and I say, God, can you give me the direction? I don't know how to help this person. Give me the direction. And this is where God will reveal what's the blockage. Even if you match with this person, if there is a blockage, they need to deal with this first. You may find that they need to deal with their past or whatsoever. So I think the foundation is the critical. Building a good foundation in a relationship is the critical component of how you are able to, and bringing a divine intervention in that relationship is how you are able to move forward. Because we live in a fast world, guys. A world where it has confusion in it, and people have gone crazy.
Yeah. Like yourself, crazy.
Yes, yes, like me as well. I'm one of them, guys.
Yeah. But as I say, there is this confusion around and
Yeah,
things. If something does happen and you're stopped, it can be, there's all this other confusion going on around. It's quite easy to get pulled into it and lose your way. And it is actually coming back to your why, your purpose, your divine connection, as you were saying, Namsa, that guidance, that inner guidance. What is your purpose here on earth? You know, what have you come here for? And it's making sure you connect with that. So even if a relationship falls apart, it's connecting again back to yourself, because maybe a part of you got lost in that relationship. You got tied up and you lost yourself. You lost your way. You lost your purpose or your connection with your purpose. And maybe that relationship was just part of what was meant to be along your path. It wasn't a relationship that would take you all the way to where you're actually destined to be going. And so it's about being able to step back and give some time to reflect on that relationship and maybe allow yourself to grieve, because it is a loss at the end of the day. So go with those emotions that are there and work through them. But reconnect with, what is your purpose here? Find that why in yourself. And what is that? Because that is something that's really strong. Where is it that you are meant to be going? And I just had a memory last Wednesday. It was Friday. Sorry, it was Friday. I was going to go to Jazzercise in the morning, and I decided to take the train to just one stop at the next station, pick up a bus that would take me all the way round to where I needed to go. I got on the train, got to that bus stop, and there was no buses. And it's like, and so I sort of asked, I said, well, where are the 282s? There's nothing up there. And none of the other buses were coming through. And so I said, oh, there's an accident down at one of the roundabouts down the road, so nothing's coming through. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get where I want to go? So again, it was like this. I'm not going home. I have to get there. So I knew I needed to get, so the purpose for going there is for me to get mobility in my body, get that strength, get dance back in to my body, get that spring back in. And I had set myself a goal of, by the end of the year, I will have been to all the sessions through the year. And I'm now going twice a week. But I had, I'd made that decision. I wanted to get there. So how was I going to do it? So I got back on the train, went back to where I came from, got another bus to another station, one stop along on that train. And then I had to walk, because that was where that other bus would have taken me, and I would have picked that up, but it wasn't obviously running. So I walked, but in my head was like, if I only get there and get the last half hour done of this class, I will be there. So there was something really pushing me and guiding me and pulling me to get there. And again, so it's like, yeah, how can I make this work? How can I do it? And even though I thought that the distance from the station to the venue in my head seemed a long way, actually when I walked it, it wasn't as far as I thought, because my walking is that bit quicker, but I'm going, oh, this isn't that far after all. It is doable. You know, so sometimes things we think aren't doable, it's like, oh my God, that's too much effort. That's too going to take me too long. I'll never get there on time. I'd made a decision that I would get there, even if it meant only getting there for the last half hour or so. I was going to get there. I was going to get my mark for being there, you know, and not marked as didn't turn up, didn't show. Anyways, so it's like, what is I got
Cool.
there and I was only quarter of an hour late in the end of the day. It didn't take me as long. So when I got there, I found myself doing more of the activities, and that energy came to keep me going through the day. It was just like, wow. So again, what is that why? What is that calling that is still there for you? And it's tuning into it. So if a relationship ends, give yourself time to get back to that. Well, what's your calling in life? What is it? You know, but enjoy the adventure. I love curiosity. Curiosity is one of my top values,
Yeah.
actually, and adventure is my top one. So hang on, look, so what's life giving me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
I interfere, guys, before Sharon takes over?
Yeah.
Sikari from Uganda says, I don't know if I pronounce his name very well. He says, hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm John Sekari from Uganda. Nice to meet you guys. As long as you know what you want in a relationship, everything can go well. So, Shireen, what do you want to say before
Yeah,
you
I was going to start with that. So thank you for saying that. I mean, one of the things which is really important, and that's it, is what is, you know, when we were talking about the dream, and you talked to Caroline about coming back to yourself, but you really need to come back to, why am I in this relationship in the first place? What does this relationship serve me in some way? And how do I serve someone else in the same way? So the point of coming to have a relationship is because we want to relate to this being. We want to be here and we are connecting to them. So in that firm foundation is, what is our why for being in this relationship? What is our why for desiring to be with this person? And what is our why to have core values? Why do we need to look at their core values so that we cannot be jarring all the time? We can't know all of things, but at least five core values would probably keep you very safe. You know, if you have a core value of integrity, is a really important one. If your core value of kindness is another core value, these kind of core values will be the values. If you match them, you will find a way in any relationship to, at least if you make it work, or to have a good break, right? Because those core values will not interfere with the kind of godlike relationship that you have with this person. You'll be a good friend at the end of it if that's the case. So I think when you're going into any relationship, it's really most important, and that's what I think about when I have a tiff, is I always go back and I say, this person, and I get the anger out. And then I come back and I think, why am I with this person? Why do I love this person? What is it about this person that lights me up as a being, right? How do they support me? How do they hold me? How do they protect me? How do they make me laugh every day? Those kind of things. Do they do the Sudoku with me every day? And if they don't, what might happen? It's really about, what are these things that you set up for yourself to make success of that relationship, and if you abide by those core values and you make sure that yours and theirs match, I think then you're very, very likely to succeed. And yes, I agree that, and that's when you can go, okay, we can reroute back. Okay, what's that? Okay, how do we manage this? How do we sit in that curiosity and work out what is it that we want to do next? And I think like what you said, ABC plan and D is to stay stationary. Sometimes to stay stationary and surrender is important.
Yes.
Surrender to what's happening and just stay there and let whatever, and I call that God's presence, come in and be there to guide you on what's the next step. You've got the variables. Maybe in the making of the decision is really to take the moment to stop.
Mhm.
That's the moment. Then you can do your ABC. You can still, the D I think should come first. Stop. Okay, be like the 12 spies that went out of the desert to try and find out, help the Israelites leave. You need to stop and just make a choice. How do I ask? How do I ask for help in some way so that I can be guided on the right thing? And I guess that would be, well, is this aligning with my thing for fun? Is this aligning with my thing for, interest and curiosity? We're aligning to something, and that's that core value, isn't it? Or we're aligning to, when we ask God for help, or we ask for help in some way, we're aligning to those core values. What is it that we want from here? You wanted to be fit. You wanted to go to the judge class, Caroline, and you wanted to have a tick.
Hmm.
I really laughed at that one. It took me right way back to school. But what was really interesting and what came for me was, hey, when you started walking, when you decided, right, once you'd made the decision, you'd had time, you decided, what happened? Well, the universe, God, everything worked for you. You got there faster. You collapsed time and space, right? And all of a sudden you went, oh, God, I thought I was only going to be there for half an hour. Oh, I've only lost 15 minutes. Well, you were excited. Well, at that moment, I bet you were incredibly excited,
Yeah.
right? Wow. Okay. And then you started thinking, hey, I must be fitter. Oh, I must be this. And you started to reflect on just how far you'd come. So all of a sudden, you got this energy and this boost. And
Mm.
that's what it's all about. That's what sustains us. That's what holds us. And that's how we build the foundation, right? Because we have to keep building that foundation. We can't just say, hey, it's at the bottom and that's it. No, 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 no. We
Yeah,
have to keep making sure that foundation is strong, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. There, Caroline, you spoke about purpose, and Shireen, you spoke about something else. It will come back to me, and that I wanted to comment on.
All
It's,
values.
ADHD.
Yeah.
The decision. Probably it was the decision.
No, 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 no.
Oh, right.
It wasn't
Well,
that.
Okay.
Purpose. When we're talking about purpose, it's important that people understand that purpose is changeable. Yes, your existence on this planet serves something, and yet throughout your life, your purpose can change. It can deviate. You don't lose it. You forget about it. You don't. It's a constant thing. Your experiences, your life, your situations allow you, in a sense, to change your perspective on what your purpose is in the current time. That can be a 2 year span, it can be a 5 year, it can be a 10 year span. It doesn't matter. So it's important to bear that in mind while you're thinking about what am I doing, my why, and when and where and all of that. But my why is important, and that can be for a duration of time. Doesn't matter how long it is, just know that it can change. The second point that I can't seem to remember was with relation to purpose and relationships. I think this is where it was leading. Um, when you have your core values and your purpose, your why in life is there, you can easily connect the things that you do in life. You can connect your relationship back to your purpose and your core values. You can connect your friends back to your purpose and core values. You can connect your career back to your purpose and your core values. People might ask, career, how is that possible? Well, if your career doesn't align with your core values, how are you feeling? Depressed, not appreciated, all of these thoughts that make us feel sad about going to work. However, if your core values align with your job, it no longer becomes a job, it becomes something enjoyable. You go there, you deliver something, you do something that is useful to the world and to yourself, and you find it enjoyable. And so on and so forth with every part of our life. The reason behind all of that is to connect all of the points and the dots that Caroline and Shireen were talking about when it comes to core, when it comes to foundation, core values, foundation, purpose. Everything is connected. Once we have all of these dots connected within us, we become immovable. And that impossible that Nomsa was talking about, you can change it and call it I am possible instead of impossible.
No, I said without God or without divine is impossible.
I'm saying impossible is not a word. That's all I'm saying. Impossible, once you set your mind on something, once you connect the dots of your core values and your relationships and what you want to do in life, the impossible means very little, right? It's a change, it's a shift in your mentality as well, in from changing impossible. I know it doesn't mean much, but it's I'm possible, right? That gives you a boost. Same as what Caroline was doing, right? Now, I bet you anything, you reached over there, as Shireen was saying, you were like a little bit, but then you had a little bit of blood running all around your body and you were ready to go. You didn't need to warm up or do anything. Right? You were like, hey, I'm here. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
right, that's it.
Yeah.
So again, the curiosity of life allows you to explore the parts of you that you have dreaded to explore, that you have wondered about. And when it comes to the relationship, I, yes, agree with Shireen when it comes to that pause. Take a break and pause a little bit, because always responding in anger, responding in confusion, in times of confusion, responding at any specific time where your emotions are not stable results in another failure most of the time. So take a breath, figure out things first, and then figure out those options A, B, C. Right? I totally agree with Shireen when she said take option D first. Stop, listen, and feel. Right? And then figure out where you're going from there.
Yeah. It's that being present, bringing yourself, because
Yeah,
that's what I had to do
Exactly,
in that
right?
moment when it
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't want to go home. It was like, okay, stop, breathe, become present, and just look at the options. What
Exactly.
is there?
Yeah.
What can I do? The
Mm.
question becomes, what can I do? Rather than looking at, oh, can't do this, can't do that. Da, 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 da. It's going to take too long. Da, 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 da. Yeah.
Yeah, I think happiness is really, really important, because some people say they're looking for happiness, but they're not actually. And also, I like Carol Ann, you said, you mentioned big why. Shireen, you mentioned the core values, and Kamal, you mentioned that what was it, Shireen or Carol Ann, just to stand still. And
me.
just, yeah, that was, yeah. I like that part of standing still and not taking any action while you're angry or upset. And also, for me, when it comes to relationship, since I've been going through this journey of cleansing, I've realized that eh, we all got it wrong when it comes to love, when it comes to everything that we say we want, because people make goals. Okay, gonna make goals. I'm gonna meet the love of my life. They get so excited. Gonna have kids. I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna have this when I meet this person. But when we do meet that person, everything it comes down to core values, everything alignment. And that big why. Why, if you were to go back when you were single, the struggles where you had to go through looking, searching for that special person. And now you have found that special person. They're special, not abusive, you're enjoying the ride, maybe have kids, no kids, enjoying the moment. Okay, goals are important, but some people, what the mistake they make a 5 years goals and they go and live in that 5 years. or 2 years. They go and live in that 2 years. They don't live in the moment. So I think it's really, really important. Like Kamal was saying to Carol Ann, when you were stuck, did you enjoy your journey? It's important to pause, enjoy every moment of it. So I said to Lucifer once, everybody was going mad, like confusion and stuff, and they trying to drag me into the confusion. And then I said, no, I'm not getting into this confusion.
Mm.
And I was like, if they can't see what I can see, I'm not gonna control anybody. Everybody has to see what they want in life. I was like, you can't come into my life and declare to change me. You can't change me. If I'm saying I'm a nice person the way I am, there's no way you can use your intelligence, spiritual intelligence to change me. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I know my why with my relationship with my family. I know why I love my family. And I know why I'm in a relationship. I'm in a relationship to love, not to make people's life a living hell. It was like, are you mad? I'm trying to make you join the club. I was like, I am joining the club. And all that I realized because I stood still and look at people's character around me, and I was like, this is not normal. Something is not right.
Mm.
So then I had to like, God, show me what's hidden, what is going on here. And I was like, Lucifer. Even the other day, because people's relationship, people are breaking up. Everybody's breaking up. So I'm like, I don't understand what is going on. So when I went to Dr. Olukoya's deliverance last week, I come out of the deliverance and then I'm walking, and then this guy is asking me, he goes, where do you come from? So I speak to him, and then he was like, I thought you were Nigerian. I was like, actually, I am actually Nigerian. I'm half Nigerian, half Kenyan, my heritage. So instead of me telling this guy first, this guy is his soul is speaking to me. So then God says, this is what is breaking people's marriages on air. He's not speaking. He's not speaking, but there is a soul that is speaking. So I'm like, so you mean it? So then I got to put it two and two together. So now when I'm starting to meet people, I just have to stay focused.
Mm.
And some people, there's a soul that is speaking on top of them. Not everybody, but some people. So then I've realized actually, this breaking up, they are not actually breaking marriages. They are linking people with people and breaking people's marriages. So then I was like, how does it do it? But then I had to work out how he's doing it anyway. Me, I'm so curious about this everything, life and everything. I'm very, very curious. When I see a behavior that is not normal, because there's a guy that I've been talking to. He's my friend, he's Indian, he's been married for 20 years. And I saw him the other day. He says, oh, me and my wife were no longer together. I was like, you as well? You've joined the club? And he was like, things are not working. I was like, okay, so what's next now? It comes down to Sharina, what Sharina was saying. Have the curiosity. What actually brought you together with this person? It was love. But people are looking for that 20% that is missing. The 20% that is missing in a relationship, guys, is always going to be missing whether you meet somebody else. I tell my clients that nobody loves is like love you, like can give you everything 100%. There's always going to be something that is missing in that relationship. It's up to you to add it on. It comes down to big why, curiosity, communications. Shireen mentioned the integrity, and everything else is coming down to honestly and being honest and everything. And that's why people are breaking marriages looking for that 20% that is missing. What do you think, Kamal?
I don't think anything is missing.
Huh?
I don't think there's any 20% missing.
No, there's no relationship that can be like, can give 100%. There's nothing. There's no such thing. A perfect
Says who?
relationship.
Says
Huh?
who?
So exactly to whom? Whose perspective?
No. We're speaking to reality, guys. I know
Whose
we're
reality?
Whose
Whose
reality?
reality?
The thing, okay, Nomsa, let's put it very simply. If I am satisfied with the fact that I'm my partner, let me put it this way. If I am content with the
Yeah,
fact that my partner nags because I keep the seat lid up,
yeah.
then I'm not upset. That means there's a satisfaction in it, contentment in it. If a person is sometimes feels that their partner isn't, I don't know, giving them attention, but they express it and the partner gives it back, then it functions. If if something that is bothersome in a relationship for either partners, and one partner decides to mention it to the second one, and the second one agrees and fixes it or adjusts it, then the relationship functions perfectly.
Yeah, it functions perfectly, but what I'm saying to you is we got to speak the reality. The 100% of satisfaction, it comes from me being satisfied with me, not expecting somebody else to give me 100% of satisfaction. They are bound to leave the cup on the table. They are bound to leave the chair not up, like down or up. They are bound to leave the socks. So that's what I'm saying, that we have to speak the reality, that the 10% that people are searching, my spouse is annoying with this, is annoying with that, is annoying with that. Check yourself. I have found my satisfaction through me, through God, not through a man. What I was looking for, nagging a man before, looking for that satisfaction, I find out it does not exist. The satisfaction is within me. That's what I'm saying. If I'm satisfied with me, I'm fulfilled within me, and I'm not
I'm
in an
hearing
abusive.
something different now.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's what
hearing
I'm
that
saying.
it's the
But
responsibility,
when,
it's within, it's
yeah,
having.
but when it
She's
comes to
talking about the
relationship,
expectation. Do we expect someone to give us 100%
yeah,
of the love, right?
that's
Are we
what I'm
100,
saying.
or
That
will we receive 100%
yeah,
love from someone
it
else?
cannot happen if
And
we
if we're
speak the
nagging someone,
reality.
then no, there's an
No, it
expectation of what they
can't.
would be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That as a relationship coach, people expect 100%. The expectations is you give me perfection 100% in a relationship, then I'm gonna call you the gold, the queen. But it can't. It cannot happen. I
No,
can't.
because you're putting an expectation on the relationship. That to me is something else. If you're going in with expectations,
That's what
Exactly, that's what
everybody
breaks
that's
does.
things up.
That's what everybody
yes.
That's an
does, Carol.
unrealistic thing that someone is going to match everything 100%. Because the
Mm,
moment there's an argument, that means there's no match.
mm.
So it's about recognizing that there's a percentage of thing that is going to be what's the word I want to use? Unknowable, right? So we might know up to 60 or maybe 70%, but the rest is unknowable when we go into a relationship. We don't know the whole person in a
Yeah.
relationship. We
And
start.
that's where being curious comes in. It's
Exactly.
being willing to be open and curious about that other person and get to know them and be in their world and have that connection together, being on an adventure together. But as you say, it's knowing each other's values. I think that's it. That is what's key.
And toilet seats up, I don't like them because I don't switch the light on and I sit down and damn these. toilet seat. I get up faster than I've got sat down, but I don't go and moan at him. I just sort of remind him every now and then, can you just remember to put the toilet seat down?
Guess
Most of the
what I
time,
did?
80% of the time he does.
Guess what I did, Shireen, was I went to the toilet because I was rushing and somebody had closed the toilet seat. Me, I'm rushing and I'm taking my clothes off. And I'm doing a wee and I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm sitting. I was like screaming. I was like, hey, everybody, can you leave this seat up?
The
Like
lid.
the lid needs to stay up.
No, the lid needs to go down
It's
because of the
supposed to go.
microbes that are flying when you flush. They're
No,
not
when
like
you're
my kids are.
flushing the toilet, you put the lid down, you close the toilet,
And
but
when you
then
go
you
into
go
the
back
toilet, you
and
lift
put
the
it
lid up.
back. So I was like rushing.
All
I
right,
was
but I
rushing.
need to leave you guys. There was a
Yeah, I think we're
discussion.
way past
But
time.
This
I
is
So,
need
good.
what would you like to leave people with?
I want people to remember that things happen in life for reasons and change as well. Allow yourself the time to think about the change that is happening and how that change can allow you the time and the possibilities to understand what's happening ahead of you.
Beautiful. Shireen,
I'm
what
going
would
to
you like
go
to?
with what really stood out for me was what Nomsa said, and maybe I don't know whether anyone really took it, but is the purpose of a relationship is to love
Mm.
and to be loved. And it's really important that things go bad is pay attention. Where have I not been loving? Right?
Nice. Yeah.
Where have I not been loving? Can I love more? How do I love more? Because maybe the love I was giving was not love that was coming from a source, right? Maybe the love I was giving was from a victim, a child, or whatever. So where, the purpose is to love. Full stop.
Cool. Love it. So just very quickly, sort of realizing that rerouting often becomes most important of our part of our journey because it can reveal strengths, clarity, and alignments that we perhaps didn't know we needed. I just leave you with that.
Lovely.
Me, I will just leave you guys with keep loving. Relationship is just all about love. Anything else, just what's in front of you. Just love that. I've learned that the hard way.
Sorry.
And the other thing is keep walking the path with your family. Keep loving, keep walking. Straight path. It might not be great, but it's great because it's for you. So guys, we have two groups. Those who are watching Unique Billionaire Mindset and Gossip Talk Shows, please do follow us on our groups and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And Carol Ann, while I still remember, next Tuesday, could you please watch the video? Because this topic has been so good. If Kamau can come back, that would be really, really great. Maybe find something we can do to go deep with this question to help our audience. That would be really, it's a deep, deep topic that needs to go to different angles. Yeah. Maybe can you really love 100%? Those kind of things. So we can look into that and going deep. And guys, I love you so much. See you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Oh, before I go, my cousin is gone.